to the Sahih Coffee Shop. I'm Ethan Knight, and with me tonight is Bruce Knight as soon as he gets his coffee out of an RSVP match with the barista. Really, bud? You've got to have your coffee that strong because it's beating up the barista. Hello, Rose. How are you?
Doing wonderful.
Well, I'm glad you and your coffee finally made it to the table without any more incidents.
Yes, it would be easier having a Starbucks installed in the house.
I understand that, honey, but if you keep feeding the barista up and the coffee attacks the barista, I really cannot do that. It's too much on the insurance. So tonight with me, we've got Maureen St. Louis. Her book is RSVP from Heaven. She'll be on in a little bit, but we have some things that really made our news feed this week. Now, our news feed is heating up with a lot of political stuff. Now, granted, we're not going to cover that. Sorry. We're not even going to deal with that until the end of all this shenanigans that's going on because it's just ridiculous. But, you know, in other countries where other news is reported a little bit unbiasedly, which is enjoyable, something that hit our newsfeed was something quite shocking. In Egypt, a 4-year-old has been charged and convicted of murder. I don't know how that sits with me because at the time that he was charged, he was only 2.5. How could a 2.5-year-old commit murder?
Exactly. I don't really see how according to what I'm understanding, it was supposed to be a 16-year-old, I'm assuming either the brother or whatnot, and instead they charged the 4-year-old to a life sentence.
Exactly. They took the father instead of the child to hold the father until he was arraigned 2.5 years later. I mean, granted, sometimes I don't agree with the justice system. I don't even agree with the government. But this government has gone a little crazy. In the past 3 months, they've convicted 250 protesters to life in prison. They've sentenced 120 people to death and execution. And now they're charging children that don't even know what the word murder means, much less can't even say it. So, guys, I just don't know sometimes, Rose. I really don't about, what's going on. I think that, there needs to be some supreme overview and something innovating. So, light workers get out there, light work, and now they've said that they won't take him to jail because he's so young. And then after all this, and after some media coverage, from the BBC, the UN began looking into it for human rights violations. Then they go, oh, gee, we convicted the wrong person. There's someone with his exact name, and we convicted him. So, and this was only after the father went on to emotional plea for the child's life to keep the child, and that had to go like major media. Now, granted, we didn't hear about this in the U.S. We didn't hear about this at all in the U.S. Believe me, I checked ABC, CNN. I even watched for pictures on Fox News. I couldn't stand listening to them, but there was no images. There was nobody talking about this except for the BBC America. Really? This is just one example of when we're not getting the news because we were too busy dealing with the sideshows going on, and which star and that, is doing this and that. So you just kind of have to look at that and go, really, what's going on? Why are we not getting informed? And what's going on in this world? Because it's no longer, we stay in our little state or we stay in our little cool country and we don't deal with anything else. Because here's the facts. If it's happening there now, in 10 years it'll be happening here. It's been proven scientifically that we're becoming more like Russia from the 1950s. We are.
Exactly. And sometimes the justice system isn't about justice, it's about retribution, in my opinion, where they go and convict the wrong people, And then when they finally find evidence of them convicting the wrong people, they want to try to brush it off as, oh, we made a mistake, or we're so sorry.
Right.
And
see, this, in America, it takes about 20 years for someone convicted to the death penalty to actually be executed. Over there, it's like, oh, death penalty, not a problem. We'll see you in 10 minutes downstairs. Boom, it's done. So, that's normally the way they deal with that. And I know a lot of Americans are, yes, this is how we should do it. So hang them on the street. So, that tends to be a little bit of an issue. That tends to be a little bit of a problem. But, things tends to happen. Things tend to pop in and pop out. And then we have, another issue, and this may affect some of our techie gurus, especially those moving over to the solar power and you're ordering lithium batteries. They're going to take a while to get there because they've now been banned from airplanes. Rose, why don't you tell us about that a minute, okay?
From my understanding of it, they're banning lithium-ion batteries from airplanes because they're not being packaged right, and then at certain altitudes, they turn into miniature bombs and take down the aircraft or components that fire within the aircraft. So I can see where that would be a concern with the aviation.
Right. And it's going to take longer for that to get there, and they're not banning it in products. If you have a low-lithium battery in your laptop, that's one thing. But if you're shipping, companies ship freight to these stores, they can be very difficult. They can be very difficult to get a hold of. And, that's when you got to, so guys, be looking for that shipping price to go up. Be looking for those batteries to be harder to get, which means the price is going to go up. Because now they have to ship it by land or by sea. Because if it's just so dangerous, it's actually killed 3 pilots and blown up planes. And I'm like, why wasn't this out in the research? Why aren't they checking for this? Why aren't they figuring out how this happens? Because if you remember, a couple of years ago, Dale had some problems. And we're going to have some issues. So, let's see. That's about all that made our news feed. So, our guest this morning, St. Louis, and she's a psychic and spiritual medium since childhood with international clientele and growing a very large celebrity list. She's been conducting sessions from her kitchen table for clients and then moved to doing readings at parties and events around Phoenix, Arizona, and other cities. She delivers accurate information regarding your past, your present, and your future while utilizing her clairvoyant, seeing, clairaudient, hearing, and clairsentient, just knowing it, and also her feelings. And these abilities allow her to help her clients. She believes that no event is too small or no location is too far from sharing her gifts with people, looking at the connecting from deceased loved ones or even receiving guidance from about their lives. Maureen also works with the law enforcement and families on criminal and missing persons cases. And she's wrote a new book. It's called RSVP from Heaven. It's a wonderful book, and we're going to be talking to her about that tonight. And since childhood, she's been doing the psychic, so she's like me. She, came into it very early in life. She still lives in Arizona with 2 rescued cats, numerous houseplants, and visiting spirits. Maureen, is presently working on her second book. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her online. Hi, Maureen.
Well, hello. How are you doing?
Doing great, hon. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, great. So happy to join you both tonight.
Yes. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. I mean, when you, how you got into reading to begin with.
Well, my gifts, my spiritual gifts came about when I was very young, around the age of 5. And then, but I began reading for people in junior high school and high school, and just for friends, family members, but I didn't really start reading professionally. It was about over 10 years ago when I started reading for people professionally, and it was like a calling to me. Throughout my life, people have always been drawn to me with their problems. And it happens every day when I'm out, like, running errands and shopping. There's usually a couple of people who begin to tell me about their troubling situation. It's like I'm waiting in line at Walmart. And so it came naturally for me. And then that's when I started reading from my kitchen table with clients, referrals to clients. And then I was, and I still am on a psychic 24-hour line. And then I have my clients also, under other clients.
Right. And, in your book, which I just love, you talk about your brother helping you unload and helping you set up at a different event. How supportive was your family when you said, okay, I think I'm going to take this out of the closet and, we're going to go and, set up at these different places?
I think that I got a lot of eye rolls for my parents. My younger brother's always been supportive from day one. Actually, he was the one that encouraged me to apply on the psychic line and really started, to read for clients. And when I started doing events around the same time, he was the one that would help me, pack my things, and I'd have to, a lot of these events, I'm bringing my own huge commercial tent, I'm bringing a card table, my 2 chairs, and then I've got a suitcase full of, like my table decorations, and the list goes on, and he was always there with me, either, handing out business cards, or just at the beginning, just reassuring me that, everything was going to go well. But and then my parents, my mom has been supportive also. She is very much into genealogy and loves to frolic through cemeteries across the United States looking for deceased family members and going back, many generations. And then my father, he was more skeptic, didn't quite understand, and, was quoting the Bible and things like that to me. But I was coming back and telling him all these great stories that I was having at parties and events, and then now he's fascinated by it, and actually he's still daddy worries about me because some of these events don't end until 2, 3, or even 5 o'clock in the morning. So he's always texting me or calling to make sure that, I arrive home safely.
Now, and it was actually your little brother that started you out to start journaling these things down, didn't he?
Yeah, it was my younger brother that suggested when I first started going to these events, I was very apprehensive. I was so used to hiding at my home, kitchen table or, on my couch, on my phone, reading for people. But going out in public is a total different environment. You're very, you're not, I don't want to say protected, but, you get a lot more people not agreeing with what you do or making comments or grimaces and things like that. But he was the one that suggested bringing journals because it actually was like my therapy, because as I was there at these events, I was taking the time to write how I was feeling at the events and writing down what was happening around me and also after and before, during, and after the personal sessions with people. I would take notes, and then afterwards definitely write, more notes about actually what happened during the reading. And so, yeah. And so that was the foundation of RSVP from Heaven, was those journals from the dollar store.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting also that you do automatic writing when you're, doing readings. You incorporate that skill also. which isn't used much. But do you ever have clients just looking at the pad and have to write something down, go, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah, they sure do. You read the book, so, I do automatic writing most of my readings. Mm-hmm. As I'm receiving messages from my clients, I'm writing down keywords of things. Could be a name, it could be a date, it could be symbolism, it could be signs. And some of the clients, they do watch me write this down, write those things down, but to them it's upside down because we're sitting across from the table from each other. And then after my readings, I offer the notes, but honestly, a lot of the clients that I read for, it's just a bunch of scribbles and doodles to them. So I offer them to, I always offer you can take it, but most of them, I guess I always encourage clients to take notes, but you would not be surprised how many people don't take notes. And
I wouldn't be.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't. They just don't take notes, and so they do see me writing things down, and they'll say, "Oh, is that a picture of a sun, or what's the number 3? You just wrote the number 3 down. What does that mean?" So yeah, it happens all the time.
Does that interrupt your flow?
That's a great question. I've been doing this for so long, for many years, and when I'm giving a reading, I've got so much going on around me. I'm in the middle of fairs and festivals, and some of these events could run into thousands of people, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10,000 people. It's very busy. A lot of times I'm in nightclubs with, the DJs playing techno or industrial music or hip-hop, blaring through megawatt speakers. So I've learned to really tune that out and able to deliver messages. I even had, during Halloween, I did a party at a country and western bar here in the Phoenix area. And it was very difficult because I couldn't even hear the other person. It was so loud in there. It was a fantastic venue. The manager was wonderful, event coordinator. I was treated so wonderfully, but it was very difficult. But I was basically screaming the messages, and I was still able to get the messages across to them. And the funny thing is during that night, I was giving a reading, and actually had a bar fight break out, not even 2 feet away from my table, and I'm still reading for the person. Yeah, so
you were definitely in the zone that night, honey.
Yeah, I'm in the zone. I usually I have my Diet Coke in front of me or my water, and I'm in my zone.
So when you do events, you do them alone, or your brother may help you come set up, but you don't really use him as like a handler like I do. When I do events, I have Michael that's my handler, and he, kind of keeps the line built up, the list built up, that type of thing.
That is great advice for any psychic that's planning to do events, because I don't have anybody. I've done from day one, I've done everything, and it takes a tremendous amount of time, to market, and once you're at these events, I don't have a second part. My brother came with me for a few events. I would say the first couple of them, but I don't have anybody. I don't have someone, talking to people as they're walking by or handing out like a business card or information. So I do it all by myself.
Wow, honey. That is
yeah,
to me, because I'm like, he's my rock. I mean, he's the one that says, no, if he's in a reading right now, or walks up to me and goes, you've been reading for 3 hours, you need to take a break.
Yeah, that is really nice that you have that, because, it's like someone to watch over you while you're doing these events, and you know how busy you get. And
exactly.
I don't have, so maybe somebody in the future that I would have somebody, with a sign-in sheet or actually helping me assisting me like to sell the book at events, because it's just, it can be very overwhelming. I'm trying to do so much, but I've just kind of grown accustomed to that. And, yeah.
Yeah. So what was your first event? It was the swap meet, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's see here. One of the first events was, and I didn't mention this in the book, it was just a very small event, and it was a few hours at a grand opening at a beauty salon, and it was located in a rundown strip mall in North Phoenix. And so if you can picture kind of a strip mall run down, I was on the sidewalk outside with a couple of stay-home mothers. One was selling homemade soap, and the other was selling scented candles. And so that was kind of a real, but the first official, and the one that I did put in RSVP from heaven, was a swap meet. It was sponsored by a local radio station, and it was held at a casino parking lot. So that was my first event here, and that was years ago. I'd have to, the exact year, but yeah, that was my first one, and I had to cart my commercial tent, and like I said, I have a lot of stuff that comes with me.
Sometimes it's a minivan.
A minivan. I have like a little hatchback car. It's loaded down with stuff.
Oh my goodness, funny.
Yeah, so I most of the time at these events they don't supply anything, so I have to bring everything with me. But some events, like at the nightclubs, they'll have a table and 2 chairs ready for me, which is really nice. So I don't have to bring a lot of stuff. And I'm the type of person, I like to do everything in one trip from the parking lot. So, yeah. And, I don't like to make like 2 or 3 trips.
Before you even get started.
Yeah, it looks like
now that you have the books out, that's going to be another suitcase.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got I've got so much stuff with me, and my table decorations. I usually like to put my vase with fresh cut flowers, to make it really nice. And then I have my signage, and I have my card table, 2 chairs, and all this. And so it is. You read about the story. The one chapter is about the multicultural festival, and parking in the parking lot. And they told me not to go take the shortcut, and I took the shortcut. So you read what happened to me. So by the time I got there, by the time I got to the tent where all the vendors were at, I was just a hot mess.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable. That was probably one of my most favorite stories. Yeah, the multicultural festival. What has been the weirdest event you've ever done?
The weirdest, I love the thrill of meeting new people at these amazing events, and I do events that are basically from like A to Z. You name it, I've done, car shows and salsa festival, and if you check my events page on my website, you can see all of them listed, at least from the last year. And so in the past, I've taken part in a medical marijuana festival, several Halloween parties in Hollywood, and even an upscale swingers New Year's Eve party held in a exclusive resort. But I have to say the most fascinating event was the 2 fetish events that I took part in, kind of like an adult Halloween on steroids. And I liked it so much that next month I'm actually going to another one, the Phoenix Fetish Formal. So that will be the end of March. So if you can imagine a warehouse-style building with, like lights and DJs playing it's normally like techno, industrial kind of music, and they have aerial entertainers performing large hoops attached to the ceiling. They have multiple rope riggers doing suspensions, people bending over spanking benches, snake and fire dancers, candle wax area, so you go on and on and on. So if you can imagine me sitting there with, my table, 2 chairs, and I'm reading for people that are attending while all that is going on around me. And it, sometimes I wish, wow, if we could film this, it'd be incredible. But you have to, for that event, there's several events that I take place that I have to actually sign a contract. Everybody that attends has to sign a contract. And no photos are taken unless it's from the photographer. But I love it. I'm going to the 3rd one next month, and I meet some great people. I mean, it's, doesn't matter. I always say.
Doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It's just, for me, it doesn't matter if I share guidance or relay messages from Spirit, during a corporate event, where people are dressed up, birthday party, or, surrounded by costume guests. My philosophy is I share my gifts with those who need me the most, and that's no matter where I meet them.
And I think that's a really good philosophy. I like that you do different style events, and, people like to whitewash this industry, but, we've always been the ones that'll go anywhere, do anything. Some people travel 52 weekends a year. I'm down to 14. I'll probably pick it back up. But, when we do these events and stuff, some of them are interesting. Some of them are fun. One event that me and Rose done together, it was named something like Midsummer Madness or something like that. It was supposed to be a reenactment event. And, the people told us that, you don't have to bring, it was a 3-day event, so it was like, you don't have to bring food, just bring yourself.
And then we get there, and the food vendor doesn't even show up.
Wow.
And so we're like, okay, we're going to have to go to the store and get some food. And then there were some people there that brought a lot of food, so they started making kebabs and stuff to sell and whatnot. And then there was this one person there that wasn't the brightest. And I say he wasn't the brightest because anybody would say, you're in the middle of a field and you don't light firecrackers and send them toward pets.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no more. No more of this, we're going to take care of you stuff. It's like, no, we've got to make sure these events are at least sustainable. Because there were supposed to be facilities, and literally it was a cow pasture. Really, that's when, your episode of the multicultural one, I was like, I've been there. I completely understand this.
Yeah, you can relate, and just by, your, the story that you shared with us, that I can totally relate to that. I know I've had to come and work with so many different event coordinators here locally and out of state, and every event is like a wild roller coaster event. I never know a lot of times I don't know what really I'm walking into. And, I've read at events on, I've read in, patios and on, a bar patio, sidewalks, an alley that they had set up for us with, trash cans around there and, all different kinds of different places in a, bitter cold. I mean, I know Phoenix doesn't get as cold as a lot of places, but, it does get cold to us out here. So, I mean,
right.
Yeah, so And then also like 120-degree weather. I mean, I remember, reading on a sidewalk for, it was called Dog Days of Summer, and they were inviting people to bring their dogs down, and they had vendors, and I was there on the sidewalk, and it was 120 degrees out. And I'm sweating and sitting there, waiting for, people to come up and get a reading, and,
Yeah. Well, we have to go to break, and while we're on break, when we come back, we're going to be asking you some more questions, a little bit more about some of the stories in the books, and then we're going to open up the lines for calls. All right. So we'll be right back, everyone.
You'll find us at www.themagichappens.com, your free online magazine.
Are you at a crossroads in your life? Or are you feeling stuck and not sure where to turn? We can help. Visit our website at psychic.biz from your computer, smartphone, or tablet, where you can get accurate readings and insight by speaking with any one of our tested advisors. We offer live chat, video sessions, one-on-one phone calls, and even email readings. We have several gifted psychics, tarot readers, astrologers, and other healers from around the world who are available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your initial chat is always free, and our psychics do offer special prices and low per-minute rates. Visit us today at psychic.biz and get the guidance you need today for your tomorrow.
You're listening to The Magic Happens Radio Network, sponsored by The Magic Happens magazine. You'll find us at www.themagichappens.com.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Do you have burning questions you need answered? We all do. Visit our website at psychic.biz, where you can find accurate psychics, tarot readers, and astrologers from around the world who are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can have your questions answered anonymously and right from your computer, tablet, or smartphone. The introductory chat is always free, and we offer low per-minute rates and special promotions. Our online psychics offer helpful, practical guidance into what matters most to you. Visit us today at psychic.biz.
And you'll find us at www.themagichappens.com, your free online magazine.
Chapter, you spoke about a woman judging for reading, and you were sharing with us a little bit about that earlier. Compared to how you dealt with it in the book, how are you dealing with it now?
Yeah, that, at the beginning when I started reading at public events, I was very naive, believing people would be open to me, and I learned quickly that wasn't the case. Majority of people in public are fine, but it's always, one or two. I do read at holistic and psychic fairs where the environment is much safer. The people attending there are when they go to a psychic fair, there for a specific reason, and that is to get a reading and also other vendors like crystals, essential oils, and, are attending a lecture. On the other hand, at public events, I've read at a tattoo and motorcycle event, benefit car show. When I'm doing these events, the public is coming for a specific reason, and I just happen to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to have a delicate balance in being both friendly and on guard. And like I said, it's common for people to smirk or roll their eyes and just blatantly tell me they don't believe in psychics or it's sinful. So I just have to take every individual, separate. And if I'm not getting into this, verbal clash with them, and I'll just politely thank you for letting me know how you feel. Usually they like to just say something and then they walk away. But I'm not going to get into I'm not going to get into this big verbal theology debate, at a, at a disco theme party. But
exactly. It's just
not
the time or the place, and for me, a lot of times and it depends on the person. Sometimes I'll just smile and walk away. But if they really want to go into it, I'll tell them, you know what, you go read the Day of Pentecost and Mark and James, and then you come back and we'll discuss that. And then I'll walk away because that just disarms them completely. But it's interesting how, with that, after she does that, you're reading on down, and she actually came back and apologized.
Yeah, that was at my very first event at the swap meet, and a woman actually came to me. It was two women, but one was definitely doing the majority of talking. And she just basically said, she got in my face and was pointing her finger, and she's like, "You're going to hell for what you're doing." And she identified herself as a born-again Christian, and she said, "What you're doing is behind, against my beliefs." And I was put on the spot, and I felt like I had to justify my religious beliefs, and then afterwards they walked away, and then I looked at my brother who was there, and I said, I don't think this is for me. I made a big mistake coming here, and I was actually going to pack up and leave, and I had not even been there, very long. And then I watched them go down the aisle, between vendor spaces, and they turned back around. And I said, oh my God, they're coming back. And then that's when she came back, and she apologized. She apologized to me for what she had said to me. So right then and there, I had to make a decision, and that was either to pack up and just say, forget it, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to go back to the safety of, the couch, reading from the couch or my kitchen table, or I'm just going to stick to psychic fairs, or I'm just going to grow a thick skin because I know that there's a lot more events that I want to do, and I'll just have to, just toughen up. So, and that's what I did.
Right.
That's what I did.
Yeah. Which was very good because there's really hard. Some places are really hard. I get calls a lot of times for places that I just can't drive to, and I'm so there's a lot of need for this out there. What's your favorite part of the book?
It's difficult for me because, it was very difficult for me I do so many events that it was very hard for me to narrow it down. I did not want RSVP from Heaven to be a 400-page book. I knew from the beginning that I wanted it to be a series, and so I had to narrow down my events. But I would say one of my favorites was reading at a Halloween party sponsored by a popular men's magazine a few years ago. So in attendance was over 50 models, and then the numerous adult film starlets. And then, of course, in the book, and whenever I'm air, I always omit names or I change the name, descriptions, because of confidentiality. That's utmost for me, and it should be for every, reader. So I read for a woman named Alicia. And what was so compelling is that we're at the card table, in the middle of this Hollywood party, DJ spinning electronic dance music. I'm on a patio. It's beautiful outside. People are drinking cocktails. And she came to me, and she was concerned about her daughter. And I thought that was incredible in the midst of all this, that she came and she had a question about her daughter. It wasn't about her. It wasn't about her finances or career. So, I passed on some messages about that. I saw that there was more than one woman connected with her daughter. So, and I thought, oh, boy,
sure.
2 boyfriends. She's involved in like a love triangle. And Alicia said, there are 2. She's seeing someone now, and then she has an old boyfriend. But the old boyfriend I can't stand. And then I went on to tell her I didn't trust the old boyfriend, and I felt like he was still using her. Alicia looked at me, and she said, funny that you should say that, because we found out he's been using my daughter's credit card without authorization. And, later on in the reading, as you know, when you do events, you're doing mini readings. You're doing 5 or 10-minute sessions. Sometimes, I may go longer. It depends. Each event's different. But I felt like she was going to find her. I didn't feel like the relationship that the daughter was currently in was going to be a long-lasting one. But it was interesting.
Right.
After the reading, Alicia stood up and she picked up it was a nautical theme purse, and she stopped and looked back at me, and she said, I don't know about the other moms out there, but I'm a parent for life, and I don't want my daughter making the same mistakes I did. And it still hits me, because you see, underneath that perfectly applied makeup and that tousled mane of, luxurious hair, and she definitely had a body to die for, but she was also a mom who cared about her daughter and wanted the best for her. And that stays with me to this. And I thought that was just...
that's always I think moms are always moms. And they're always there no matter what you're doing or where you're going, My mom, sometimes covers the office, or she'll be out of events with me, so I definitely, see that support and stuff there. What's been your hardest reading you've ever done?
The hardest reading, there's been many that have been challenging, and I don't hold back messages from people. But the hardest, I would say, was I was called to a home, and the woman was experiencing some spirits in the house. So I went over there, and after the reading, she said, since you're here, could you connect with my uncle that passed away? And I'm like, wow, like right on the spot, So I said, okay, I will try, let's, a lot of times with the mediumship, they may want to hear from a specific relative, and it's another person that shows up. It just, I can't control that. So I did connect with the uncle, gave her some messages, and then one of the messages from the uncle who was deceased was telling me to tell this woman that her father was going to commit suicide. So I'm sitting there on the couch, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? So I explained to her, I said, I have a message for you. Do not get alarmed, and I just need to pass this on. So I did tell her. And she looked at me, and she said, Marie, she was calm. She's like, Marie, that would not surprise me. My father is a recovering heroin addict, and he has attempted before. So that was on a Friday night. On Sunday, I got a call from another family member stating that she had left out of town unexpectedly that Sunday morning because she received a call that her father, indeed, on Saturday night, which was the next night, had attempted suicide, and he was in the hospital. And he did survive, and he's, as far as I know, I haven't been in contact with her, but, a month that he was doing fine and recuperating. that was the hardest. When you have these messages, and even as a person that's been doing this for years, I mean, there's sometimes that, you know, it's like, wow, I have a responsibility, but it's never easy to give clients information that is like, I don't see your relationship working out, or I do not see you and your ex-husband reuniting. Those are very difficult messages.
They are. I always try to give it as nicely and as sweetly as I can. My grandmother said, bad news should always come with a teaspoon of sugar.
Yes, I agree. You have to learn to, as a reader, psychic, medium, whatever, you know, Carol, whatever tool or no tools is to always be sensitive to that client, because you know they're coming to you 9 times out of 10 at one of the lowest points in their life.
Very much so.
And we all can relate to that in our own lives. So
very much. And you know, a lot of times I'll get reflections back of, ooh, you've been through this, so it kind of helps me guide them, and I'm sure the same is for you.
Yes.
Okay, we've got some callers on the line. You want to take a couple calls?
Yeah, that's good. Yep, that's good.
Okay. Now, because we are broadcasting out of West Virginia, we do ask for your name and birthday. I don't know if Maureen needs them or not, but we have to have them.
Yeah, that's fine.
State regs. And our first caller will be area code 952. Okay, 952.
Hello.
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 Your birthday, please.
12/15/57.
Okay. And your first name?
Julie.
All right. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. It's regarding my daughter, so I didn't know if I should give her birth date, but she's going through a tough time after a breakup after 7 years. The only person she dated, she's now 24. It's been a year. And everyone's like, oh, people break up all the time, but it's just this person completely changed on us, and completely we see if I ever run into the family, they're just so hostile to us, and I just want to know if this situation will resolve. Maybe not back together, but...
Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and start? I don't know how you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's your day. You're not.
So okay. And if you'd like to add, I'm more than, I'm so free-flowing. One of the things I'm concerned about this situation, and I just want to give you a little heads up on this, is that it may roll into something like legal, because I get it extremely. Is she and him like extremely heated, or it's the family? Because I get like this could snowball into something legal.
I don't know. The family.
Like an order of protection. I mean, it just feels like they're out for. It feels like that family is a lot more angrier than what I'm getting from you.
We're just on this end, just sad, yeah.
Pardon me?
Oh, we're just on the sad part.
Yeah, I don't
know
get
what order.
Yeah, but from them, I just get them extremely hostile. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, I've had some run-ins with him, so I know. And then I ran into his mom, so they're like, "Stay away from my son." But I've seen him at different places, so the mom is extremely hostile to me.
Yeah, that's what I get. So I am not an attorney, but I suggest that you just kind of, I know you're going to keep your cool and kind of remove yourself from the situation, but it may escalate, like an order of protection or something. I just feel like they're going to try to do something legal, like to just any way they can get back at you. I feel like they're going to do. And is there some kind of and I'm not a medical doctor, is something mental? Like, does he have some kind of a mental issue? Like, he seems very explosive to me, maybe like bipolar or ADHD. I mean, there's no offense to anybody who has those. I'm a special education teacher for many years, but it feels like there's something organic with him.
Don't know. This guy was just like the best person you've ever known. Everyone told me that unbelievable for my daughter, and all of a sudden things just blew up.
Mhm.
Just out of the blue, and they're blaming my daughter for everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was problems. I'm being pulled way back to the first week in December, like December 1st. It feels like it gets a little agitated between both of them in the first week of December. It feels like December the things started, and then in January. It's why I get early December kind of things were not going well. But
they've been apart.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, they've been apart for about a year, a little over a year. I don't know if there any kind of communication, but he started dating somebody right away, and now he's engaged. So.
Okay. In December, I feel like there was maybe there was communication between them two, because I get it very hostile. I don't get a reuniting. I mean, you said that he's already dating someone or engaged. I don't feel. This is pretty much done and over with.
Okay. She'll be okay.
She's gonna. Can I hear her first name or a nickname?
It's Michelle.
Oh, she's gonna be fine. I love. Oh gosh, she's almost like blaming herself right now. It's like this blame. And then when I get to April and May, I feel like she's going to have like a spiritual rebirth. It's amazing. When I get April and May, I feel like there's a tremendous amount of healing when I get to April and May with Michelle. Wow, okay. It's powerful. She's not going to be single long.
Well, I appreciate it. It's just been so horrible the last year. So.
Yeah, I would definitely stay away from that family, because I just feel like they're still, I just get that legal vibe from them. So, but Michelle's going to find love. Okay.
He's blaming her, so that's why they're mad at us. So he's playing the blame game and telling them she did this and she did that. So
I get like that is total made up. I get like that's total made up. Like I get like he was the root cause of it, because I get him when you say that, I get automatically like he's making things up.
Yeah, he is, but it's escalating. He's telling the parents this, telling that, and then all of a sudden they back it up. So.
Mhm. All right, and then just let Michelle know there's new love coming very soon. Her vibration to me is, I know that she'll have to, heal from this, and everybody's on a different time frame with regards to healing. But I get that in April, May is like tremendous spiritual transformation healing. It's just like it's so powerful.
Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You too, dear.
Thank you.
I really like your reading style, darling. All right.
Oh, thank you.
I like that direct connection, and I can literally just feel the energy running off. Now, guys, I'm sorry we're at our 4-minute mark, so we're not going to be able to take any more callers. But, Maureen, tell them how they can get a hold of you privately.
Yeah, privately, people can contact me through my webpage, Marie, and St. Louis is spelled all the way out, SAINTLOUIS.com. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and also my book. I wish everybody in the world would, read my book. It was definitely a labor of love. It was for my clients, but my book is available through Create a Space and Amazon.com and my website.
Yeah, and get it, especially if you've ever wondered about what it's like to be a psychic reader, wondered what the life is like, because she shares it all. She doesn't hold back, which is something that I really enjoy. And I get that question a lot of times. What's it like? How do you do this? And I'm like, now I'm going to say, here, save me a 2-hour conversation.
Well, the best way I could describe it is it's like being in a free-ring circus on steroids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then,
it is.
Maureen, some of your events, it sounds like you've added a couple extra rings in there, honey, so definitely go get it. You'll laugh, you'll cry, but you'll really get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I love that each chapter has a little spiritual step after it or a little message. And thank you, Maureen, for coming on. Now, you mentioned this is part of a series, so when the next book comes out, please contact us. We'd love to have you back.
Oh, great. Yeah, I would love to come back. So I will be in touch, and, it'll be a while for that part 2. It's coming.
Okay.
I'm, so many events to choose from, for my readers.
Well, good night, Maureen, and I'll talk to you again soon. And good night, Rose. You have a lovely evening.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, Rose.
Good night, Marie.
Are you at a crossroads in your life? Or are you feeling stuck and not sure where to turn? We can help. Visit our website at psychic.biz from your computer, smartphone, or tablet, where you can get accurate readings and insight by speaking with any one of our tested advisors. We offer live chat, video sessions, one-on-one phone calls, and even email readings. We have several gifted psychics, tarot readers, astrologers, and other healers from around the world who are available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your initial chat is always free, and our psychics do offer special prices and low per-minute rates. Visit us today at psychic.biz and get the guidance you need today for your tomorrow.
You're listening to The Magic Happens Radio Network, sponsored by The Magic Happens magazine. You'll find us at www.themagichappens.com.